Hey guys, it's Mike and Davina from MasterYourMix.com here, and in this video I just want to share a quick little tip on something that I frequently like to do whenever I'm mixing bass guitar, and it's something that I do in order to get a little bit more control of the low end on the bass versus the mid-range attack and aggression sound. So I'll show you how to do that in a second, but first let's listen to the bass in the context of the mix, and then I'll solo it so you can hear the bass isolated.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down. My heart keeps breaking down.
So that's it in the context of the mix, and now I'll solo it so you can hear it. So you can hear it's a really round sounding bass, and actually when I was playing it in the context of the mix, you probably saw me lift the fader there, and that's because I wanted to hear the bass cut through a little bit more, but I noticed right away that as soon as I started bringing up the fader that I was hearing a little bit more of that mid-range, but I was also hearing a lot more of that low end as well, and it was starting to cloud up the mix. And that's going to fight with my kick drum, and that's no good, right? We want to make sure that we have a really balanced, focused low end. So one of the things I like to do, I could have just used EQ there, and so just as an example, I just made a quick little EQ boost here. Let me put that in.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down. My heart keeps breaking.
So that mid-range boost that I just added there, it helps a little bit, but again, we're still getting a lot of that low end. So one thing I like to do instead is I will duplicate this bass track just by right-clicking on it and hitting duplicate. Now I've already gone ahead and done that, and that's this track right here. And then what I'll do once I've got a duplicate is I'll split the two tracks using filters based on their frequencies. So on this first track, let's label this one bass DI low. And what I like to do on here is I'll use a low pass filter, and I've got it set at 200 Hertz. And then on this track here, I'll label it bass DI high. And on this track, what I like to do is I used a high pass filter set at 200 Hertz. So now what I've essentially done is I've separated all of the low end on this track, and then this track is more of the high end and mid-range stuff. So if we were to listen to just this low track, this is what it sounds like now. Here it is with the plugin disabled. And with the back in. And now if we listen to this track, let's hear how this one sounds. Very thin sounding, but we've got all of that mid-range stuff, which I like there. So now what we can do is we can combine them and really have a lot more control of the low frequencies versus that mid and high range over here. And what we can also do is we could treat them completely differently as well if we want. And that's something I really like to do a lot. So let's check out this low track first. So in terms of EQ, I don't really have a whole lot going on this track. It's just pretty much that low pass filter. And then I just squashed the crap out of it with compression.
Maybe if I act my age.
So I'm hitting it pretty hard, around 7 dB of compression, pretty constantly. And what that's doing is it's giving us this consistent level here. It's just kind of sitting right there. And that just makes sure that everything is really balanced in our low end, and we're not getting notes that are jumping out and swelling in volume. We're just keeping everything really tight in that low end. And then on our mid-range track, what I've got going on, aside from our high pass filter here, I've got a little bit of a cut just to get rid of some honkiness in the mid-range. But then I've also got like a Sanzam plugin. I like adding some saturation, so here's how it sounds with the saturation. So that's just giving some more grit and more harmonic content, which will really help the bass cut through in the mix. I've also got another compressor going, and with this, I'm going pretty light on it, just hitting it a couple dB. Pretty easy going. And that's still preserving a lot of the attack of the bass and allowing those dynamics to cut through whenever he's hitting it a little bit harder. We're getting a little bit more of that dynamic range there. So that helps keep the bass lively and sounding natural. And then I can also add some EQ. I've got a little bit of a boost going on here as well. That's just helping it cut through a little better. So now let's hear them both in the context of the mix. So what I like to do first is I try to find the balance on the low end and get it sitting at a spot where I like how it sounds.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down.
So that sounded pretty good in the verse, and in the chorus I think it sounded pretty good there too. So now we'll bring in some of this high frequency stuff here.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down. My heart.
So in the verse, I kind of like how the song has a bit more of a mellower vibe. So in this section, I probably wouldn't want a lot of aggressive sounding bass in there. So let's maybe sit the bass around here or something.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down. My heart.
So you'll see that I can get a little bit more control over this attitude and aggression of the bass in the mid-range, and in the verses I can make it a little more mellower by having it lower in volume, and then in the choruses when all the dense guitars kick in, I can bring that up and make it cut through those a little bit better, while still keeping a really balanced low end that stays at the same level all the way through. And that just really helps things stay controlled as we're boosting the bass in our mix, so we're not all of a sudden getting a ton of low end added as we're boosting the volume of the bass track, and we're not having those low frequencies masking all of the other low end instruments like the kick and all the rest of the drums and all that kind of stuff. And it just keeps everything a lot more controlled. So now let's listen to it one last time, and I'll just quickly automate this on the fly. So I think we had our bass high mid section around here, and our low section was sitting around here, I think. So let's listen to it.
Maybe if I act my age, it's breaking us. My heart keeps breaking down. My heart keeps breaking down. Maybe if I stood on a stage, recite all the things that you say.
So there you go, guys. That just shows you how easy it is to kind of automate those different frequencies in the bass and really get a nice balanced sound while still keeping the low end of your bass sounding really nice and consistent and not jumping in and out on certain frequencies and starting to cloud up your mix. So this is something I really like doing. It's something that takes a little bit of time to get used to at first, but once you get the hang of it, it really helps give you a lot more control over your bass tracks. So guys, give this a shot, and if you like this video and you like the content in it, please make sure to like the video, leave a comment below to let me know what you think. Also, if this is your first time hearing about MasterYourMix.com, please visit the website, and at the top of the page there's a link to download your free copy of the Ultimate Mixing Blueprint, which is a guide to help you with EQ and compression, and I show you how to use that on a variety of different instruments in your mixes so you can get better results faster, and I show you what you need to pay attention to, what settings to try. It'll really help get your mixes in the right place really fast. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions at all, anything you'd like to see me cover in any of my upcoming videos, please send me an email. My email address is info@masteryourmix.com. Send me an email, let me know what struggles you're having with mixing, and I'll try to create some content to help you get the answers you're looking for. So that's it, guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon.